Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this spooktacular Spinsterella story. Pick up your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. A fired Taco Bell employee returned to his former place of work and allegedly shot and killed his manager.
Investigators say a man accused in the shooting death of an employee at a local Taco Bell had been fired earlier in the day. 21-year-old Jonathan Morris faced a judge this morning on a murder charge. Morris is accused of shooting Ryan Johnson to death in the parking lot of the Taco Bell on Guest Street in Queensgate. The assistant prosecutor says Johnson was talking to Morris at the time, and John's family believes that he was trying to help Morris at the time. They call it as senseless an act as we could imagine. The attorney for Morris says that he denies the allegation. The judge set bond at $500,000.
I'm Deja Gross, reporter for WCPO 9 News. The aunt of the man killed outside of this Taco Bell says he was on break from work. She had last saw him 2 days ago and remember him as a good man gone too soon.
We just want to know why. Why did you take him? Like, he got 7 kids. Who's going to raise his kids?
Family members of Ryan Johnson are seeking answers after the 32-year-old was shot Friday morning outside of a Taco Bell on Guest Street.
We don't know why it happened. Why him? Of all people, why him? He was just the sweetest. Everybody can see his picture on the paper. He's smiling. That's him. He always got that big old cheesy smile. That's how I remember him. He was in his Taco Bell uniform. He was just at work on a break.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Good person gone too soon. He was just at work. And if there's something going on, but why would you choose that place, that particular time, that person?
The Cincinnati Fire Department tried to save him, but Johnson died at the scene, leaving behind many loved ones, including his 7 children.
Ryan loved to be there for everybody. He would give you his shirt off his back.
Police have not released any information about what led to the shooting or any possible suspects. The Taco Bell was closed for the day after the shooting.
For the senselessness to stop somewhere, and I know you always see people, won't nobody never speak up, and then I always hear somebody say, oh, I don't see none until it becomes them. Then they want you to speak up. Then they want somebody to say something. We just want to know why.
In Queensgate, Deja Gross, WCPO 9 News.
Now, in this alleged incident that took place in the parking lot of a Taco Bell in Cincinnati, Ryan Johnson, a manager of the Taco Bell, allegedly stepped into the parking lot to meet with Jonathan Morris, a former employee that he terminated. And as he went to discuss some issues with Jonathan Morris, he basically was shot and killed by Morris, allegedly, in the parking lot. And this is where Jonathan Morris allegedly left the father of 7 children to die in the parking lot of the restaurant that he managed. Now, after shooting his manager, this is where he wound up eventually getting arrested and taken into custody. And after being taken into custody, he was charged with murder and is been given $500,000 bail. Now, the Cincinnati police see this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the alleged actions of Jonathan Morris, they definitely fit the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And Jonathan Morris's behavior definitely fits the pattern and profile of beta males who have a serious problem with male authority and male authority figures. Now, both of the men in this case were black men, and when it comes down to younger black men, because many of them grow up in single mother households with female authority figures, many of these males have a hard time being able to function with male authority figures like managers inside of the workplace, especially if they are heterosexual black men. Because when it comes to the beta male who's raised inside of the home with a single mother and female authority figures. He does not see a male as someone he regards as someone he respects as an authority figure to submit and defer to his authority. No, when a black male sees another black male in a position of power, they see them on the same level as they are because of the dysfunctional way they have been raised. And in some ways, these men basically start to get jealous of seeing a black man having power because they see that black man as a rival to them, and that's what leads to those men having a hard time being able to navigate the workplace because they have issues with black male authority. And I believe that's what happened here with the situation with Ryan Johnson as he was working with Jonathan Morris. This is where they possibly wound up having friction. They wound up having friction because when it comes to black men who are younger, they have a hard time dealing with another black man being in a supervisory position over them. And they have a problem with a black man being in a supervisory position over them because, again, their perception of authority usually is seeing females as their authority, and they have no problem with a black woman being their authority over them. They have no problem with a Hispanic woman being an authority over them. They have no problem with a white woman being authority over them, and they have no problem with a white man being an authority over them, but they have a problem with the black man being the one in charge, and that's what leads to these men being very difficult on the job, being very difficult to work with because they don't respect or regard the authority of the black man who's been put in charge, and because they don't respect that man's authority, that's what leads to these men having problems on the job as related to following orders, doing what their manager tells them to do, respecting his authority as a supervisor, respecting his chain of command as related to the orders that he gives. This is the problem that the black male has when he's inside of an environment with a black man who's put in a leadership position, and this is what leads to many young black men having problems on the job that basically lead to them not being able to function effectively on the job. And eventually what happens with these black males is they wind up in a situation where they wind up either getting written up a lot, or in the case of this young black man, Jonathan Morris, he just wound up getting terminated. And after he wound up getting terminated, this is where this beta male basically wound up losing control over himself and his emotions. Because yes, as someone who's been fired 2 times, I understand how stressful it is to lose a job, and I know how stressful it is to be fired. I know how stressful it is, but in that situation, you have to navigate through your emotions and be able to control yourself, and you have to be able to accept that you have to take the L. Yes, you've wound up not losing this job, but you can't wind up putting yourself in further jeopardy. Unfortunately, Jonathan Morris didn't understand this, and he wound up going out here not only losing his job, but winding up losing the intangible of his freedom by going out here and looking to get even with, allegedly, with this manager, Ryan Johnson, because when he went to that Taco Bell to meet with that manager, again, he was looking for a confrontation, and as he was looking for this alleged confrontation, this is where he escalated things as related to, again, losing this job, to him basically putting his freedom at risk, looking to sate his feelings as related to being hurt about losing this job. That's what this young man did. Again, escalated the situation to from just losing a job to winding up committing a possible felony. And after committing this possible felony, now he's been taken into custody because he didn't get the lessons on manhood, about being a man, because part of being a man is having the resolve to understand how to navigate a bad situation. Yeah, being on these jobs and losing one of these jobs is a bad thing. I know this, again, from personal experience. It's a bad experience to wind up getting fired from a job, but you've got to have the resolve to be able to navigate through your emotions and navigate through your emotions to maintain your composure, because while you may have lost this job, you don't want to wind up losing your freedom looking to get even with one of these managers as related to one of these jobs. No, you don't want to wind up losing your freedom as related to just one of these jobs, because you can always get another job, but you cannot wind up getting your freedom, and you cannot wind up bringing the life back to the person who fired you. Yeah, you may feel angry at the person for firing you. You may feel frustrated that things didn't work out on that job. I know this because I've had those feelings. Yeah, you feel frustrated that you didn't get your chance to show what you could do at this job, or you could have wound up doing well on this job, but this manager just wanted you out of the job for some minor infraction, like in the case of when I was working at the science library. Again, I'm looking down and he accuses me of sleeping on the job when you cannot sleep standing up. It's physically impossible, but the whole thing is I had to learn how to, again, navigate through my emotions and, again, look and maintain my resolve in Jesus Christ and continue to go on. And that's what I've been doing since the 17 years since I lost that job, still trying to go on. But sadly, Jonathan Morris didn't get that lesson, and because he didn't get that lesson, he went into this Taco Bell, got into it with this manager over this minimum wage $15 an hour job. And after he got into it with this manager over this $15 an hour job, looking to satisfy his feelings of looking to get revenge on this boss, he now has gone from a guy who could have possibly gone somewhere and got himself another $15 an hour job to now he's on the road to going to the county jail and eventually possibly life in prison, where he will be making 15 cents to $1 an hour inside of the penitentiary, where he will be making all sorts of Mexican food such as burritos and other items like the doo-wop cakes inside of the penitentiary for 15 cents for $1 an hour, as he's basically going from being a guy who was working at a job to working inside of the prison for next to nothing, as he's basically has to trade his backside and his front side for the items to be able to make those burritos from the commissary, from items like Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, packets of Taster's Choice coffee, packets of Keef coffee, off-brand lemon lime drink, off-brand grape drink, off-brand apple drink, off-brand mango drink, off-brand kiwi strawberry drink, off-brand apple juice, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand vanilla wafers, off-brand ginger snaps, Hunt's snack pack puddings, beef summer sausage, hot beef jerky, beef Chico sticks, beef and cheese beef jerky, and tuna, and packets of chicken, and packets of Spam, and hot peppers, and all the other items of the commissary. I mean, he's gone from making gorditas and fajitas at Taco Bell to now he's going to be working in the cell making all of these different prison recipes. And again, this young man went from being a 21-year-old man working at the fast food and possibly being able to go on with his life to his life basically being over at this point, all because he didn't have the critical thinking skills to understand how to function on the job and what to do when your job winds up getting terminated. I mean, when you're in these job situations, you have to understand how to function on the job. And sadly, a lot of young black men, when they get on the job and they see a black man as an authority figure, they want to go out here and start acting crazy. And in some cases with the black male managers, they start getting extra. I talked about this in a previous video about how some of these black men, they start getting extra. But in this case, it's really sad because a father of 7 children basically is dead, and those 7 children don't have a father to guide them. And basically, this man in crisis basically turned 7 children into children in crisis. This child of the corn basically came to this job, growed up like a stalk, didn't understand how it worked in the workplace, and because he didn't understand how it worked in the workplace, that you have to respect the authority of your boss, even if you don't really regard them. Again, he may be a black man that you don't regard, but he is your boss, and you have to respect him. And again, you have to respect what you do on that job. And if things ain't working out, then you need to just go out here and look for another job, because there are more important things than, again, looking to get into it with folks on the job. Yeah, there are more important things like your dignity, your self-respect, and most importantly, your freedom. I mean, these are things that a man has to think about as related to a job. Yeah, you may be dealing with a jerk boss in some cases, but you got to understand, you got to put those feelings down, because you need that paycheck, one, and you also need your freedom. These are things that young black men don't think about. And sadly, in this case, because this young black male didn't think about his intangibles of manhood, like his dignity, his self-respect, and his freedom, he is now, again, gone from being a free man working the line at Taco Bell to now working inside of the penitentiary, and basically going to be making Mexican food out of the commissary, and after being traded for his backside and his front side for items in the commissary, because again, working in that place, again, you only working for 15 cents to $1 an hour. And again, if this guy had any critical thinking, again, he wouldn't have put himself in a situation where he went from being a man who just lost a job to winding up becoming a man in crisis. Now, if you want to learn how to avoid being in a situation like Beta Males put themselves in, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com. And if you want to learn how to navigate the workplace and all the hazards that are in it as a man, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping in the Workplace, which goes in depth on all of the pitfalls and traps that many men can wind up falling into, and wind up creating a course for yourself so that you don't get jammed up on the job, getting into it with folks on the job. And you can also pick up my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, which also features more manhood lessons. And all 3 of these books will basically help you become a better man and be able to navigate workplace situations so that you won't wind up losing your control over yourself, and going from being a man working in a job to winding up becoming a man in crisis, working for nothing in a penitentiary. And if you want to see me make more videos talking about the man crisis, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.